Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Dr. Kate Boyd and I'm really glad you're here. This is Pepper. She told me this morning she wanted to be in the video too, so here she is. I'm back from my summer at Interlochen Arts Camp in Northern Michigan, and now I'm getting ready to start a new academic year. In today's video, I'm going to do something just a little bit different. If you're here for a piano tutorial, I promise that next week I'll be back with a new one. The other week, I was talking to a friend, a fellow piano professor who teaches in Wisconsin. Hi, Kaju! This video is for you. We were discussing the beginning of a new academic year and how we each prepare for it. And so when I pulled my custom paper planner out of my bag to show her, her eyes nearly popped out of her head and she said, "How did you make that?" So in today's video, I'm just going to show you how I make my own paper planner so that you can make one too and customize it just the way you want, and then you don't have to buy an expensive one and you have it exactly your way. When I started in academia nearly 2 decades ago, I quickly experienced the tension that most applied music faculty eventually feel between needing to practice my instrument and teach and the many administrative tasks and meetings and other activities that are part of an academic or really any professional's life. I realized then that I urgently needed to learn about time management and create some systems for myself so that my time wouldn't all be just swallowed up on busy work and email and meetings and keeping things organized. I really can't stand the feeling of working all the time and yet constantly feeling behind and overwhelmed. And of course, that doesn't allow me to do my best work. So I needed to figure some things out for myself. And this process of figuring things out and thinking things through led to my habit of creating my own paper planner for each semester. And since I'm making this planner right now this weekend, I figured I might as well film the process and show you how I do it. Most of my planning tools are digital and online. I use an online calendar, I use digital note-taking systems, I use my iPad for my music scores and for my teaching and so forth. Actually, I'd be more than happy to do a video about the tools I use for my own planning, and if you're interested in that, please leave a note in the comments. Despite the convenience of digital tools, however, there's just nothing like a paper planner to write my notes in as I go through my day. This planner is a place where I can plan my day, make notes, keep track of things in an informal way. I started making these planners about 10 years ago, and so by now I've made about 20 or so of them. Before I started making my own planners, I usually would buy a page-a-day calendar in January and use it for a calendar year. Now, it worked fine, but I always felt that there was either too much irrelevant structure or not enough detail. I really needed to be able to customize it to my own needs. So in this video, you'll see what I do, and then you can experiment with this and make something that addresses the needs you have for your own planner. So what am I looking for in a planner? Well, I want to have 1 page per day that I can use to time block and plan my day and also take notes for things that come up. I also like to have a calendar page for each month so I can see the whole semester at a glance. On Sundays, I sit down and plan the upcoming week, so I need to have a page for each weekly plan. And sometimes I make that a different color so I can easily find it in the book. Recently, I started using my paper planner to track certain daily habits just so I make sure to remember to do them. This helps me keep track of a streak and it keeps my motivation going. What I'm going to do is create each of these components separately, and then I'll combine them at the end and have it spiral bound. Now, you might have different things you're looking for. Maybe you don't need a page a day. Maybe you just want to see a week at a time, or maybe you want to insert pages with prompts or questions on them that make you reflect on the previous week or upcoming week. It's entirely up to you. So here's how I do it. The first step is to determine my date range. For me, this is really straightforward because I'm making this calendar for the upcoming semester. I think a semester or a quarter is a perfect length for a planner like this because you can set goals and then use the planner to track your progress. It does get pretty thick, so if you're doing a page a day, I don't think it's useful to do a whole year at once because then you'd be lugging around a very thick encyclopedia-sized book. Now that I know my date range, I'm going to create my blank daily pages. I use the calendar app on my Mac computer for this, and the reason I use this app is because I really like the layout options for printing. I'm a Mac user, but my husband is a PC user, and I checked out his computer before I made this video, and the program you can use on a PC is the installed calendar app. The directions I'm going to give here are for the Mac though, because that's what I use. And after all, this is not a tech channel. I'm just literally showing you what I do. This is what it looks like, and now I'm going to show you how to make it so you can make one for yourself. You want to see how I do it? Let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is open my calendar app on my Mac, and you can see a preview window pops up. Then under the File menu, I'm going to select Print. Now for these settings, I want to have 1 page per day, so set it to day. I have US letter size. That's the size we use to print here in the States. The time range is going to start on the date, which is going to be the first day of the first week of classes, which is the 22nd of August. And then the ending date will be the last day of classes, which is the 15th of December. So 123 days are going to be printed. Now here, I want to make sure that all day events and details are deselected because I don't want my calendar to be cluttered with a lot of extra information on it. Since this is not my day-to-day planner per se, this is not where I write down appointments. I do that on my digital calendar. I do want my mini calendars here. I don't want calendar keys because that shows like all my different calendars and holidays and so forth. And I do want it in black and white. Then I press continue. It's going to calculate the layout. And now under PDF, I'm going to save it as a PDF. I'm going to save it in my documents, and I'm going to call this file 2022 Planner Day. All right. So now that's saving as a PDF. The next thing I want to do is I want to have a monthly overview for the whole semester. So again, I go to month, then I'm going to need to print off 5 months. And I do want the mini calendars like that and all these other things X'd out. And let me just make sure, I'm going to continue. Here's my preview. I want to make sure I have all my months. I want August through December. I do. So to PDF, I'm going to save it as a PDF. And this one I'm going to call 2022 Planner Month. Okay, save that. The next thing I want to do is I want to print out my daily list for habits. So I'm going to go back to the print menu and I'm going to select list. Now you can see there's just one date here, but I have to select these dates, the same dates that we talked about for the whole semester. I'm going to end on December 15th. Now you see how that populates all those dates? That's really cool. There's going to be several pages of just individual dates, and then I'm going to keep track of these couple little habits I track on this, and I'll be able to see like a streak and so forth and how long I can go. I am going to get rid of the mini calendars because I don't need the mini calendars for these habit checks, and so here I have 4 pages for that portion of the calendar. Now, again, this is the way that I make it unique for myself. But obviously you can customize this any way that you want, which is one of the reasons I like this as opposed to buying something pre-made. So I'm going to save this as 2022 planner list. All right, save. The only other 2 pieces I need now are my weekly plan pages and the cover. So to make my weekly plan, I'm just going to make that in Word. So I'm going to close out of my calendar app and I'm going to go into Word. I'm going to make a new blank document. And then all I have to do is make 2 things on here, because I used to make a fairly detailed worksheet with a bunch of prompt questions where I would reflect on the past week and look ahead to the next week. And I would include questions like list the top 3 goals for the upcoming week or write down something that went really well last week. But honestly, I found that was way too rigid for me. Some weeks I just need to plan in a really free-form way, and these questions don't always feel relevant. So the point isn't to have a document that I'm going to look back at, because this is not an archival document. This is not a journal. This is just a place where I can think out loud and time block and jot down what I need to do in order to stay on track with my goals and commitments. And so I'm only going to write 2 things here. I'm going to write the week of, and I'm going to write goals this week. Okay, I'm actually going to make this lowercase, the week of. And I got to make these bigger. This is all I need on a weekly basis. I can write as little or as much as I want. Now I'm going to save this as a PDF as well. So I go to the print menu, I go to PDF here, save as PDF, and then here I am, 2022 Planner Week. Save. The only other thing I need to do is make a cover. Now, I typically just make a utilitarian cover that just says like fall 2022 in black on a white cover. But since I'm filming this for a video, I decided I would make it a little nicer. I picked out a picture that would make me remember a really nice time in the summer. So I picked out this picture of a sunset from this summer at Interlaken, where I remember very well sitting on this dock one evening and watching the sunset. So I'm going to turn that into my cover. So I'm going to just go ahead in Word and make a new document. And all I need to do is drag this picture onto my document. And there it is. I don't want to have this much white space around it, so I'm going to go to Layout and I'm going to go to Margins. And I'm clicking on Custom Margins because I'm going to set these to 0. Okay. And it's going to ask me about it being outside the printed part of the page. Now I can just resize this so that it fills the entire page. I'm going to still write fall 2022 on it, so I need to put a text box in there. So I'm going to go to Insert Text Box, and I'm going to write fall 2022. And my favorite serif font is Palatino, so I'm going to go ahead and change that to Palatino. There we go. And I'm going to make it bigger, around 80 maybe. I'm just going to drag and resize it until it looks right. And I want to center this in the middle of the top. I don't want my beautiful sunset to be ruined by a big white ugly box in the middle of it. So I'm going to right click on it and go to Format Shape here. Now under this I can look at fill, and under this I'm going to put transparency. Do you see how that's kind of becoming more and more transparent? And I'm going to put it at about 30, yeah, it looks like about 40%. And then under line, I don't really want that solid line on the outside, so I'm also making that invisible. Yeah, so that looks good to me. Now I'm going to save it as a PDF. That looks good. Save as PDF, and then I'm going to call this cover. Now I have all the components I need for my planner. I have my day, my list, my month, my week, and then my cover. Now it's time to go get it printed. You can print it on your own computer, or you can send it to an online printing service. If you're a student or an academic, you can print it out at your school, or you can take it on a thumb drive to a store that does printing. A lot of different choices in terms of printing. What I do is I print out all 5 of the files, and then I'm going to collate them before I take it somewhere to have it coil bound. Okay, so now I've assembled it. I've put all the pages in interspersed. So this is basically what it looks like. I've got the cover, I've got my habits, I've got the calendar, and then the days interspersed with the weekly planning pages. The next step is to take it to a place where I can get it bound, like a copy type of place. And then I'm gonna get the coil bound and a clear plastic cover, and then a vinyl back. And I'm going to get that done, and then I'll show you what the final product looks like. Here it is. This is the planner I'm going to use this semester. Isn't it pretty? It's all done. I promise I'll be back next week with a piano technique video. But planning and time management are also part of being a professional, and this is a key point in my year when I need to get things organized for the upcoming semester. If I didn't plan and think about my use of time, I wouldn't have time to practice. Now, this is something I think everyone can relate to. The feeling that it's difficult to find time to sit down at the instrument and do our own work. If you want me to make any more videos about my systems or planning, please let me know in the comments. I'll see you next week when I'm going to talk about thirds at the piano. Till then, happy practicing.